Excuse me. Coming through. Thank you.
Rejects, welcome to orientation as a new servant of the Inquisition. As stated in bold print of the employee handbook, you will be rewarded the following benefits: 0 healthcare and absolutely no pension or 401k options. Paid breaks? Definitely not. Mission payouts are 100% non-negotiable, regardless of, well, everything. And all weapons, armor, and mission equipment will be purchased by you with your earnings.
Is this guy serious?
Then there's PTO. No, also not a thing. 0 employee functions, 0 holidays and office closures, 0 HR department altogether. Sorry, not sorry. Understood, recruits?
That's bullshit!
Silence! Duty is its own reward.
Here comes trouble!
Good hunting, Doctor.
The Emperor of Mankind has called upon us, ladies and gentlemen, and today we answer that call. Thanks so much for joining me. Darktide is the newest addition to one of my favorite genres. Some of the most fun I have gaming are with my friends in co-op survival shooters, and this one is easily taking a seat next to Left 4 Dead and Vermintide 2 as one of my personal all-time favorites. It takes place in the 41st millennia of the Warhammer 40k universe, and Darktide just oozes its futuristic, dark, war-torn world beautifully from all of its pores. I'm mentioning this first because as a complete body of work, Darktide does a really incredible job creating an experience that matches what I've come to expect from the best of 40k. It feels, looks, sounds, and plays just like I've imagined from years of reading the novels, digging through codexes, and playing its games. The attention to detail across the board ends up being a real tribute to the universe that makes me feel like a frickin' kid in a candy shop. So if you're a fan of any of the various facets of 40k, I have no doubt you'll be impressed here as well. With that said, let's dig into the details, starting with the gameplay. And being a Tide game, you get all the kick-ass movement mechanics that make its combat and horde control fun. You're dodging, blocking, pushing, and parrying in fights, and it even adds in a few new abilities such as vaulting, sliding, and my personal favorite, crouch dodging. Like previous Tide games, using these over and over in various combinations ends up creating this violent, elegant dance where your ability to judge the timing of enemy attacks, prioritize kills, and manage the incoming onslaught by positioning and moving well makes for some incredibly rewarding combat. On top of that, the gameplay really flows and is well thought out across the board. It uses dedicated servers, which has been a long time request from the community. It also has awesome level designs with great choke points, verticality, objects for cover, and space for rotations. And when you combine that with how well designed and balanced each enemy type is, the overall gameplay loop truly feels more dialed in than ever before. Now, that's not to say certain enemies aren't annoying as hell or that you can't easily get wrecked. You can. But in general, I rarely come out of a losing situation feeling like it's the design of the game, or a broken enemy, or the game director just shitting on us that caused us to lose. I almost always feel like I could have made better decisions, or my team and I could have played it better, which is a testament to its design, because that's the way it's supposed to be. Additionally, between the 4 characters you get to choose from, Darktide overall delivers a much more balanced, close, and long-range approach to its combat. Where Vermintide generally sat around 80% melee and 20% ranged, here it's much closer to 60-40 or even more if you're playing as a veteran or psyker. I said it in my first impressions video, but there's really something for everyone here, and I love that about it. Each class also has a good variety of weapons, perks, and wearables that back up different playstyles and make it fun to min-max your characters. And holy shit, guys, the weapons are so damn good and feel amazing to use. Both the close and long range arsenal get incredible treatment here. The 40k designs, the attack animations, and the enemy feedback is all so good. They did a kick-ass job here. The other major aspect that makes Darktide's gameplay so good is how well its cooperative elements can work together. Not only are there several perks you can select on each character that are team focused, but there's also a new temporary health mechanic called Toughness, which is basically a regenerating shield. What's unique about it, however, is it's built heavily around boosting you and your teammates if you play close together. This toughness bar will regenerate when getting melee kills or for other reasons based on what class you're playing and perks you pick, but it will also regen if you stay close to your team, and depending on how many teammates are nearby, it'll regenerate faster, which is a brilliant design choice that encourages one of the game's most fundamental and helpful strategies, staying with your team. The mission objectives and level designs also promote teamwork. You'll have to protect teammates or have them protect you while you scan and upload information, hack terminals, or carry materials from point A to point B. There's also mission modifiers where entire levels will be pitch black, making it critical you stay close together. Other times, there'll be a higher frequency of specials that can disable you, or hordes that can cripple a team not coordinating and keeping it tight. At the end of the day, all these elements force cooperation, but it does so brilliantly by doing it without it feeling forced. Instead, it's a fun and fulfilling experience that rewards players and teams that are willing to stay focused, play smart, utilize each other's strengths, and help each other out. Okay, now that I've completely bent over backwards praising its gameplay, I do have some complaints that I gotta cover. Firstly, I do think the progression system is a bit of a step backwards from Vermintide 2. Grinding for gear and upgrading it is definitely more of a letdown than it should be, which is unfortunate. My biggest issue, however, are the performance problems. And although the game has improved significantly since launch, and even more so since beta, I still crash here and there and get lag spikes after playing for more than a few hours, which requires a restart. And for whatever reason, every time I start the game, I have to turn subtitles on and off again in settings because they always show up after launching the game, despite them already being set to off. So Fatshark definitely still has some technical issues to work out here, but based on how they've treated previous Tide games, I don't have any concern that these bugs won't get worked out. I'm also always going to be real with you guys, and although these issues can be annoying at times, they honestly don't ruin the experience for me at all. If this isn't one of your favorite genres, or appealing gameplay, or a world you absolutely love, these issues might carry more weight to them, which is why I always mention them when I experience them. But for me, everything else is best in class and outweighs them entirely. I am absolutely in love with this shit and cannot get enough of it. I'm giving gameplay 5 out of 5 stars. Graphics are next, and the game is absolutely gorgeous in every way. It can suffer from some texture pop-in, especially if you're playing the game on an HDD. I started out as much, but then reinstalled it on my SSD, which almost fixed it entirely. So, a minor issue, especially when the textures in the game are so good. Outside of that, the depiction of Automa Prime, Hive Tertium, and the Morning Star is absolutely jaw-dropping. The scale of it all, the gothic architecture mixed with rustic steampunk and horrific chaos infestations. The world design is really something to behold visually and gets topped off with some amazing graphic effects and gore. Between its character and enemy designs and weaponry and tools you'll use in the game, it's a beautifully immersive and rich Warhammer 40k aesthetic that is absolutely one of a kind and fun as hell to slay through. I'm giving graphics 5 out of 5 stars. Audio's up next, and Darktide sports a soundtrack that's as long as it is badass, with a runtime just shy of 2 hours, and composed by renowned Danish composer Jesper Kyd, who also did Vermintide 2. You get a dark, digital track list with a haunting choir in many of its songs that also include a wide range of string, percussion instruments, and organs. Like many aspects of the 40k universe, the soundtrack is a killer mix of machine, software, and religious or occult influence that comes off as both something futuristic and also something ancient at the same time. The sound effects are really something special as well. Like Left 4 Dead, Darktide's special enemies have such distinct and identifiable sounds that make them easy to hear when they spawn and track as they close in on you. I also have to point out that they've really improved enemy sounds across the board. Not once have I encountered an enemy behind me that made zero sound, which has always been an issue in previous Tide games and is a wonderful improvement here. Lastly, I gotta give props to the voice actors. You'll recognize many of them from previous titles, but all the old and new do such a fantastic job. Delivery and banter between characters is phenomenal, especially from the Ogrins and Psychers, which have some particularly hilarious lines. A perfect score for a perfect category, guys. I'm giving audio 5 out of 5 stars. Let's talk about the story next, and Fatshark actually brought in Warhammer novelist Dan Abnett to write Darktide. It takes place on a hive world called Automa Prime in a massive city that's been infested by chaos. It follows a custom character you create who ends up imprisoned by the Imperium, but ends up being hired by the Inquisition to fight and try and help cleanse the Nurgle infestation in the city. It's a neat 40k short story that, from what I've researched, will apparently continue to unfold over time as more Darktide content releases. Unfortunately though, I also feel like what they did here really misses the mark and doesn't take advantage of the entire character creation process you go through for each of the 4 playable characters. Firstly, the story is the same for every character you play. Nothing gets tweaked or changed based on the decisions you put into their origin stories, which not only made each backstory forgettable, but what a huge missed opportunity by not diving into the actual lore of each character type. Between the veteran, psyker, ogren, and preacher, they could have done some really cool shit, tailoring the story that plays out for each one, or even doing a different story for each altogether. So, although I did enjoy what's there, especially the first time through, it also was a big letdown once I realized it's the same story 4 times in a row that's light on lore and completely ignores your character's origins. I'm giving story 2 out of 5 stars. Settings are up, and we're starting with the key rebind ability, which is almost perfect. WASD, ESDF, and your mouse can all get rebound to your liking. However, the infamous numpad enter key still can't get rebound for whatever reason. It's been an issue in every Tide game, and unfortunately also is here. Video and graphics are next, and you get ultra widescreen support, along with everything else you need under video. For graphics, you get a ton of excellent audio options to adjust for either quality or performance. Audio's up next, which is superb. You get a master sound and music dial. There's source and mix preset options and some additional gameplay sounds you can toggle on and off if you'd like. And lastly are the gameplay options, which were mostly good. There's unfortunately no colorblind mode options, but under interface you get HUD scaling and subtitle options, and under input you get movement and mouse options. So a couple minor misses, but overall you get a killer list of options here. I'm giving settings 5 out of 5 stars. Let's give it a final score, guys, and Darktide is an incredible co-op experience that showcases some of the best Warhammer 40k's universe has to offer with a refined Tide gameplay platform that's the best it's ever been. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars. And it is so close to being a 5, you guys. Absolutely. If you're a fan of the genre, a 40k enthusiast, or just looking for a killer co-op game, pick this one up, guys. It's the best the genre has to offer. You're not going to find a better survival horror shooter than this. Thanks for joining me today, guys. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe and bell button below. Give me a like if you enjoyed the review, and there's also going to be a Patreon link right here in a second if you'd like to support the channel. Special thanks to all my amazing patrons for your support, and I will see you on the next Gurm's Garage. Peace.